Okay, hi everyone. So my name's Carl Cushing. I represent Nova Scotia in the UK at Axis Travel Marketing. So lovely to see you all today. Thanks for your interest in Nova Scotia. So here we are. So we'll start off with a picture of one of our lovely lighthouses, of which we have about 160. This is the most famous one here, Peggy's Cove. Um, so again, yes, lovely image of Peggy's Cove there. One of my favourites. But yes, without further ado, let's dive into it. So one of the main things to say about Nova Scotia is it's closer than you think, as we always say. So if you think of a 6 or 7 hour flight, obviously a bit of a tailwind on the way back. Very easy to get to. So yes, very easy. You could even tap it in as a nice little short city break there over in Halifax. Lots to see and do there, as we will discover. But the big news, as I mentioned yesterday in the masterclass, if anyone was on the call for that, is the flight access. So airlift is a huge one for us at the moment. We're really excited. Air Canada still has its direct flight from Heathrow, which is wonderful, into Halifax International, the main gateway, not just for Nova Scotia, but Atlantic Canada, of course. So we have Air Canada from Heathrow, but next year the return of WestJet sees flights from Dublin, and we have London Gatwick, and we have Edinburgh. So a lovely spread of options there for your clients going direct into Halifax. The Gatwick one will be up first, and then I gather that Dublin and Edinburgh will be starting in June. I believe Gatwick is starting in April. And then, of course, we have the return of Iceland Air after a 5-year break. So that's huge. If you've got any clients who are interested in a double whammy, a nice little twin centre break. Of course, Iceland Air offer their free stopover service in Keflavik over in Iceland. So you've got stopovers of up to 7 days there. So that's a lovely little twin centre option. You could maybe have a week there and a week in Nova Scotia. Perfect. Lovely little 2-week holiday there. So yeah, things to consider. And of course, don't forget, Halifax is a major stop on the cruise calendar as well. So lovely, a lovely option there with cruises, for example, coming down the St. Lawrence River out of Quebec and stopping off at Sydney over there in Cape Breton and going on to Halifax, for example. So a lot of clients can get a taste for the destination by doing that. So one of the things we like to say about Nova Scotia is it's got these 7 unique touring regions. So certain clients might just focus in on one. For example, Cape Breton over there on the right is a classic. Halifax being the main entry point here, which is just, as you can tell, is very well placed to hit all of these destinations around the coast. And a nice thing about Nova Scotia as well is it's the second smallest province, so you're never that far away from anything. Which so all of the main sites is very easy to tailor them all together if you've got clients who want a range of different activities. So if you think of it, roughly speaking, as you could drive from one side to the other in 8 hours. So, for example, if you had clients who wanted to go up to Cape Breton to do the Cabot Trail from Halifax, you could do it in 3.5 hours. A nice, easy drive, and a very scenic one at that. So yeah, very easy to get a range of sites. And of course, don't forget, off the coast here as well, you would have PE. So Prince Edward Island is up here, and with New Brunswick kind of around here, they're very easy to tour around using kind of a mix of roads and bridges and ferries. So very easy to set up an Atlantic Canada itinerary should you choose. But obviously there's a lot to just keep you in Nova Scotia itself. So Halifax. Halifax, obviously, it's a very historic city. So you have lots of historic attractions. The most recognisable is always going to be the star-shaped citadel there. So it's a lovely experience, just kind of getting out of the city, walking away from the waterfront, walking up there on that approach, as you can see in the picture there, and lovely distinctive star shape. And they still sound the guns at midday, which is a lovely thing to do. A little bit of kind of pageantry there. See people dressed in historic uniforms, historic outfits, that kind of thing. So it's a nice thing to do, and it's a nice thing to do with the families as well. But there's also some amazing things going on the waterfront. So we've got the historic attractions, but then we've got the new. So it's a lovely marriage of the old and the new these days. City's really reinventing itself, and this is probably the best. Well, it is the best example. This lovely boardwalk here, which stretches, I think it's 10 city blocks, as they say here. It's probably about 2.5 kilometers or something like that. So you can just imagine, down there by the water in the evening, strolling up and down, checking out where you're going to have your next lovely, great value lobster meal. And just drinking in some of the sights, bit of people watching. Imagine yourself sitting here as it is in the picture there. All those people just hanging out, checking out the views, watching the sun go down. And the nice thing about that area as well with the Halifax waterfront is you've got the Queen's Mark development, which is, it's definitely worth checking that out, because you've got the Muir Hotel, which is in there, which is the city's first 5-star hotel. So part of the Autograph collection, nice Marriott property there. So great if your clients are looking for a little bit of luxury. And again, it's right there on the waterfront. Very nice modern feel. I think December 21, off the top of my head, is when it opened. And we've got the Moxie downtown opening by year end. So last I heard, that was going to be December the 20th. That was going to open up. So again, there's a nice choice of hotels, which is expanding all the time. And you've got existing ones like Sutton Place and the Prince George, again, hitting that 4-star market. So there's a lot of great value options. And again, just a lot of variety. So a nice thing to do if your clients, say if they only had about 3 or 4 nights, you could just put them in one hotel in Halifax, and they could just do a hub and spoke situation where they were going off and exploring some of the sites, which we'll be looking at shortly. And in Halifax itself, as I said, you have the Citadel, just exploring the restaurants, exploring the shops, the usual city break activities, and then these amazing museums. So the Citadel up there, there's a picture of the Citadel, but the picture of the Titanic, that's the Maritime Museum. So if you consider the Titanic went down off the coast of Newfoundland, and some of the exhibits, and there's a lot of information in the Maritime Museum, which is very interesting. And another great example is the Museum of Immigration at Pier 21. So if you think of Halifax as a kind of Canadian Ellis Island, as it were, so a lot of people who were coming over from Scotland and England and Ireland, etc., would have been kind of landing in Halifax, and you can hear all about their stories and their experiences at the museum, which is well worth going to. It's very well done. But yes, so from Halifax, as we said, Halifax is a great jumping off point for exploring, not just because it's the main entry point, but it's got so many great hotels, etc., makes a good base. But one of the best day trips you could do from Halifax, again, possible to stay over if your clients have longer. So if they were staying for about 7 or 10 nights in Nova Scotia, you would definitely look at arranging accommodation down here and just making the most of this beautiful part of Nova Scotia. So from Halifax, it's a very easy drive. Again, we mentioned those short distances. So from Halifax, you could get to Lunenburg, which is on the picture here. So you could be there, very easy casual drive, about 90 minutes, an hour and a half. And when you get there, again, what are you going to expect? What are you going to see? You're going to see all these amazing. It's a former fishing village, and it's just been exquisitely renovated. It's beautiful. You have all these beautiful old, colourful houses and colourful buildings everywhere. Amazing seafoods, as you would probably expect, and some lovely shops as well. It's a lovely place just to spend the afternoon just going around the little boutique shops, buying some souvenirs, having some amazing food, visiting the craft ale bars and stuff like that. It's very, very nice. And again, it's all this kind of landscape. So we call this area the South Shore, and also it's known as the Lighthouse Route, because again, there are Nova Scotia and lighthouses just go together, like this one behind me. I've got a picture of Peggy's Cove behind me, and a picture of Peggy's Cove on the slide. So Peggy's Cove is just, it's idyllic. So the most photographed lighthouse in North America, I dare say. So again, a lovely place to stop off on the way to Lunenburg. And there's a nice restaurant there. There's a nice little walking path you can take. And yeah, it's just absolutely lovely. Lovely little photo spot. But yeah, and again, another picture of Lunenburg, UNESCO World Heritage Site, speaks for itself. And again, you just get an idea of some of those kind of stores and those kind of storefronts as well. So it's very easy on the eye. But continuing around the coast, so yeah, if we're basically going in a clockwise direction with these slides. So having kind of gone around the coast, about 90 minutes to Lunenburg, you continue on around the coast and you will get to this little darling here. So this is Cape Fortune Lighthouse, which was featured in a movie called The Lighthouse a couple of years ago, if anyone saw that. So you can go up in the main core there as well. They call it an apple core because it's just the way it looks. It kind of flares out a bit at the top. So it's a nice place to stop off and just see these glorious landscapes. It's all beautiful and rugged and lovely coastal landscapes there. So again, it's if clients have a bit longer and they're looking to do a wider tour all around Nova Scotia, this area around Yarmouth and the Arcadian shores is just stunning. And Arcadia, if you think of the Arcadians, think French. So this is the old French communities around here, of which you can still see evidence of today in the foods, in the architecture and the culture, and some of the festivals, etc. But yeah, it's these lovely landscapes. If you're thinking dark skies, it's a dark sky reserve around here, the first in North America, I believe. And it's just a lovely place just to get back to nature. The Trout Point Lodge, which you can see here in the picture, is just a classic. If you put clients in there, they'll enjoy kayaking adventures, the hiking trails, and just explore this lovely area. You have Kejimkujik National Park, which is it's just stunning. It's so if your clients are into nature, soft adventure, as you said, kayaking, hiking, all those kind of activities, absolutely wonderful. And again, somewhere like the Trout Point, you could, in the evening time, you can do night sky adventures, so the astro tours, that kind of thing. And as we said before, this is like lovely slow travel. So it's just slowing down, getting back to nature, and just enjoying some absolutely awesome food with loads of fresh local ingredients. So yes, here we go. Kejimkujik. So picture yourself in that little canoe there, having a little backwaters adventure. These lovely, lovely big night skies, lovely landscapes. Yeah, it's really, 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 really nice. But continuing around, so this was us going around the west coast there. So this is us coming out on the top here. So we're now on the north coast, just edging onto the north coast. And yes, whale watching. So we're kind of hitting the Bay of Fundy here. So Digby is a great place to do the whale watching. And again, very easy to set up tours, places to stay in Digby as well. So it's worth checking out. So that would be one of the first kind of big areas you could get to up here. And the Bay of Fundy being most famous for the world's highest tides. So when the tides go really down, you can do some incredible things that we'll see in a minute. But when they're really high, we shall get to that. But anyway, the whale watching is just stunning. So if you consider that the Nova Scotia season kind of really gets going in May, so if you picture it from May to mid-October, so you can do whale watching pretty much throughout that time. Think kind of from June onwards. So July, August is great for whale watching, but you can have whale adventures, say, pretty much through that period. But these are the kind of landscapes that you can see in the Bay of Fundy. So when the tide goes down, which is what I was kind of alluding to before, there are these amazing things you can do. You can dine on the ocean floor. So that's always try and book that well in advance. But it's a nice activity for clients looking for something a little bit different. So you can have a nice gastronomic experience with the tables and chairs set out on the ocean floor with the tide out. It's incredible. And for the kids, the families, nice things to do like fossil hunting as well when the waters are out. And you have these beautiful Again, these beautiful cliffs at Burncoat National Park, Burncoat Head Park, rather. And when it talks of the Annapolis Valley, so for Annapolis Valley, think wine country. So we'll get to that in a minute. But again, so this is the kind of differential here. So when the water's up and the water's down, so massive disparity there. When the water comes in, so yes, tidal ball rafting. If you were watching Kathy and Trish on Race Across the World, Race Across Canada, this is one of the activities they did. So again, one of the more kind of adrenaline activities. So you kind of race out into the water in a Zodiac and wait for the water to, when the water rises, it's going to rush back inland down the river, and you ride a series of rapids, which is all really good fun. And again, it's, you don't even have to paddle. It's just you're being kind of swept in with it on the current of the water. So it's really good fun. And if you really wanted to, you can go mudsliding down the banks as well. So you can throw yourself wholeheartedly into the whole affair, which is all very good fun. But again, the landscapes, when it comes to the wineries, like Luckett's Winery here, Luckett's Vineyards, it's lovely. So it's got a red phone box because of the British ownership. But yeah, it's lovely. We're just inland here. So if you think you're not that far from the sea, so you've got this amazing terroir for growing grapes, and there's even a special when we talk of appellation, so there's the local wine appellation here is called Tidal Bay, which you'll find in a lot of the restaurants around Nova Scotia, which is well worth checking out. But again, I mean, some of these vineyards you can stay on as well, so some of your clients could stay, for example, at the vineyard at Grand Pre. So just think a couple of rooms, so it's more of an FIT type consideration, but it's a lovely thing to do. If not, you can just tour around and do tastings and that kind of thing, buy a few bottles to take home. And again, we have, when I mentioned Grand Pre, so the vineyard at Grand Pre is a place where they've got a couple of rooms you can stay, clients can stay, but it's also a great place to learn about the French Arcadian culture that we referenced earlier on. So it's lovely. The Grand Pre national site, historic site, is stunning and as pictured here. So, and again, it's very accessible from the wine country. And again, just lastly, in the wine country as well, a good place to stay would be Wolfville as well. So Wolfville, historic university town. Again, it's a nice place to tour around, and it also makes a good base. Or alternatively, you're only a couple of hours out of Halifax. So lots of options, essentially. But yeah, continuing around that North Shore, clockwise again. So we hit the Northumberland Shore. So the Northumberland Shore, if you think of it as like a body of water between Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island. So the water's a bit warmer. You've got these incredible beaches, lovely and quiet, and just stunning. It's essentially this, as you can see here, just these big, open, glorious beaches, nice warmer waters. And around this area as well, you have Fox Harbour is one of the better known establishments as well for clients looking for accommodation. It's a great option. And with the Northumberland Shore as well, we mentioned the Grand Pre site for the French, the Arcadians. But yes, again, the Scottish influence is unmistakable. So around here, places like Pictou, it's just a great place to stop and learn all about the Scottish experience and those first settlers who would have been coming over on boats like this, the Hector. And also in that area as well, you have one of the you have the Highland Games, which has been going since about the 1863 or something like that. But yeah, so it's well worth checking out as well. So we say lots of Scottish references, lots of Scottish culture. And again, going all the way over here to the east, we hit Cape Breton Island, which is the highlight for many. And again, so Cape Breton Island, most famous for the Cabot Trail, one of the most iconic drives anywhere in the world. And again, being 185 miles long, it's a circular route, so you could do it in a day, but we would recommend a week. But if you really wanted to do it in a day, if you picture it's like this circular around this top bit, absolutely stunning circular drive. you could aim. A lot of people start from Baddock, which is by the lake here. So do it. Always recommend if they're doing it in a day, do it in a counterclockwise direction, and then you can hit the sunrise on the east coast, and then once you hit the west coast, you can have sunsets, and yeah, it's just absolutely lovely. But yes, thoroughly recommend it. Thoroughly recommend it. And again, if you can imagine doing that in fall as well, when all the fall colours are like really popping, absolutely glorious. So yeah, the first 2 weeks of October, it's just absolutely at its height, at its best, and it's the tail end of the season. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal. But yes, as we say, we recommend doing it for a week. Again, 185 miles, but if you do it for a week, you could put your clients in a number of different bases. For example, there's, as I mentioned, Baddock. Baddock has some lovely places there on the lake, a nice historic resort town, makes a great base. Sydney is a good place to spend a night, for example. Port Town, the cruises stop off there. Places like Celtic Lodge, another great kind of base along the route there. Yeah, very lovely establishment. And again, that way you can take advantage of things such as these amazing walking trails. There's loads of them. But the Skyline Trail pictured here is one of the most, it's most iconic. It's got these dramatic views out over the water and over these lovely rolling hills. Absolutely stunning. And again, yeah. So here is the fall. So absolutely magical there. So incredible views. Nice little moose making a guest appearance up there. And again, yeah, some lovely cultural experiences as well. The Celtic Colours Festival in October is a classic, but yeah, you won't struggle to find lovely influences. And oh, yeah, I'm running out of time because I'm jabbering on. Baddock, this is Baddock, which is beautiful and historic base. Alexander Graham Bell connections there, inventor of the telephone, spent the last 30 years of his life there. Beautiful old French fort there. And going around to Halifax, you would experience the Eastern Shore, which you can do kayaking, long beaches, lovely wilderness experiences, and surfing, should you so choose. And again, lots of lovely food trails. The food is absolutely epic everywhere you go. But it's a lobster trail, best value lobster in the world, loveliest lobster in the world potentially. Chowder Trail, Good Cheer Trail, referencing all the craft ale. And again, yeah, 13,000 kilometers of coastline. You know, it's Canada's ocean playground, as we say. Anyway, so this is me. So any questions, please get in touch, and anything at all, anything to do with Nova Scotia, please get in touch there, and I will just trawl down and see if there's any questions on the left here. Oh yeah, someone's asking if the if the Northumberland Shores water is any hotter than in the UK at the minute. Yeah, at the moment, not so sure about that one, but I imagine it's quite fresh right now. They had 22 centimeters of snow the other day. Wonderful. Okay, well, I think that probably wraps it up from my side. If there are any questions, drop me a line, and I'll be glad to get on this.
Hi everyone. Not much to say from me. Just want to hop on and say thank you so much for tuning in today. It's day 4 of TTG Canada Fest.